So we are going there. All right. Ooh, okay, well, today I have joined by the saucy, the spicy, the lovely, the one and only Nats. Known her for several years and consider her a good friend. She's a phenomenal artist, and I really wanted to take the opportunity this week to highlight who she is and what she's doing because I'm a very big supporter of art, the art community, and I don't have a whole lot of money, but I have a voice and I want to give it to her. So, welcome, Nats. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been drawing for as long as I can remember, at least coloring. Um, it's, what I do. Um, right now, I'm really focused on hopefully going to a convention. I'm very intimidated. I don't like being around large groups of people. I've been to a lot of conventions before as, as a guest like there, but
Mhm.
I've never had like my own booth, so that's what I'm preparing for. That's the now.
Yeah, and you've got a ton of work. I'm really I love looking through your stuff. You always come up with some really creative and clever ideas, and then you capitalize on it and do a bunch of different variations on a theme. She has a very, very I don't know, would you say it's a strongly anime influenced art style?
Yeah, a lot of anime, a lot of cartoon. Um, I say Canadian animation, American animation, and Japanese animation are the big ones.
Yeah, one of the things that I definitely noticed, you have a great underlining understanding of construction and forms, and you're able to simplify and stylize it in just an amazing way. And I'm a really big fan of your work. I've actually learned a lot from you in personal conversations and then from watching you post online over the years. So, what got you started in to actually, I don't know, take it into the to the online world?
Well, I finally decided, oh, it was like when I was 18, I was like, I can post stuff on DeviantArt. I might as well. And I'd seen so many people post, and they were like kids posting. So I was like, oh, I'm an adult now. I could do this. I can post art. So I was drawing Inuyasha and Chobits and all my favorite animes, and a couple little OCs, and had my own little comic strip with my friends. You know, that little stuff. And that's how I got into posting online. And then I went dark for a really long time. And all of a sudden, some guy on the internet, it was like this random person was like, "You should post this like online." Like I was posting it on a Discord group, and I was like, this is just kind of something I do on my own. I don't post it to big groups or anything like that. I don't want attention for it. And well, good heavens, if my mom sees it or my dad or oh, can't have anyone seeing it. And it was a little risque, so I couldn't have that. But then I did,
Well,
and
thank you, random
yeah.
Discord guy. I don't think I would get to have enjoyed you had it not been for the courageous voice of the unknown person to come out and encourage you. So we're eternally grateful to that guy. So
Right.
that guy, if you're out there, thank you. Thank you.
But
So,
that's how I got started.
so what do you plan on doing right now? Like I know that you're kind of diversifying. You got a bunch of different projects going on.
Mhm.
Like what's your goal for now and for the near future?
Well, right now I'm working on like designing keychains, and I want to start getting into textile work. Um, I'm worried about it because that's a whole new ball field, printing on fabric. Um, and I went to school for all this stuff, but that was so long ago, and I didn't take it seriously. And I was also working all the time, so I didn't absorb any of it. So I
Hmm.
feel like I'm relearning everything again.
So, and I was telling you earlier, like I'm just this close to finishing my bachelor's degree in illustration.
Mhm.
I've noticed that in today's school, there's a lot of stuff they send us to YouTube to learn.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be true?
Um, I hate to say it, but I went to school for 8 years and I didn't start learning until I left school.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like the best thing that school did was taught me how to learn,
Yeah, I agree with that.
but it didn't give me the things I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
So I had to seek those out on my own.
So if you're listening, skipped art school, you got two people that graduated and we're both telling you pretty much everything I learned that was worth learning, I learned from YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I am glad about my education is it gave me the vocabulary to
Mhm.
understand what I'm talking about and to be able to call out things that I'm seeing and really just refine my YouTube searches better. Like I'm
Yeah.
looking for this with this, but yeah, YouTube's pretty much where it's at. Big inspirations. Like, what's your biggest inspiration?
Um, I gotta say, the old manga drawings of Sailor Moon and Chobits. Oh my gosh, the art style there, amazing. I love how delicate it is. Um, which is sad because mine is not, I feel like mine isn't delicate. It's very bold and bright, and the colors are in your face, but I really love those pastels and
Mm,
the softness. Like you could just touch it and it's just so delicate it could break.
yeah. Yeah, that's I've been watching a lot of old anime because I'm trying to pick up some inking skills. And I've been watching anime because I don't know what it is. I think they've mastered shorthand. Because when you break down their images, they're very simple,
Yeah.
but especially when it's animated, they are able to convey so much believability in the
Mhm.
poses, the forms, the motion with so little. So yeah, studying anime is a master class, I think. But yeah, especially the old school. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's almost like watercolory. I don't know.
Mhm.
It is. It has a
It's got
whole vibe
such a
and
beautiful
aesthetic.
watercolor.
It's good stuff. But I like your style too. Like you're right, it is bold with colors and your line work. It's very expressive, like it
Mhm.
pops, and it's very attention grabbing. So I could see that as an inspiration, but I also see how you've made it your own and you've kind of taken the next step with that. So kudos on that. Well, that's actually probably a pretty good bridge into the next one. There are a couple things that I wanted to talk about, uh, different topics as far as challenges that you find as a community artist trying to I don't think you're out there just to get rich quick, but you definitely want to be enjoyed and appreciated and then get a little bit of value for your time and dedication. So I know you've had some issues with the copyright strikes, the takedowns. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's going on with that? I mean, here you are, you've set yourself up, invested time in your life into becoming an artist. You invest in these platforms to get your work out, and then they come out and kibosh you. What's up with that?
Um, lately, I'm gonna say the United States election might have had something to do with it because right when the political ads started coming up, a lot of art in general was being suppressed.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was to suppress political art, if it was to suppress all art, just so that there's not as much information, misinformation going around. Um, but it's continued, so that's sad. Uh, but also it's a struggle to know what is allowed where because who is allowed where. Um, like kids are allowed on Facebook,
Mhm.
not little kids, but young enough that I wouldn't
Yeah, it's
post
what,
anything.
13 plus, I think,
Yeah,
something like that.
enough that I wouldn't post anything without censoring it heavily.
Mhm.
Um, so when something of mine gets taken down, I get a little frustrated. I'm like, I worked hard to censor it. Um, Sometimes when it gets taken down, I then end up covering the whole thing in black and only leaving like eye holes in hopes that everyone gets it. I was very upset about that. Um, but it's not just art, it's also music. Um, I had a video from 3 years ago just get taken down because it happened to have me humming a song that was playing in the background, and the whole video got taken down of an art stream
Mhm.
just because of some music that was playing for like a few minutes.
Yeah.
And I know that happens to a lot of artists in the music industry as well. And I've even heard of it happening to like YouTubers that are just playing like they literally have like a tractor going, but a
Yeah.
tractor company owns that sound, and they're like, "Oh, you're playing our tractor, so you're advertising and using our tractor in your video when it's just a machine sound."
Yeah, that's
So,
weird. I kind of get it. I do. Like you spend all this time and resources to develop these assets, and people taking them there for you. I get where they're coming from on that, but
mm,
it also it's like what access do we have? Like as very, very common run of the mill broke content creators, like sometimes we just want to develop a community and we're not looking for millions of followers, subscribers, anything like that. We're not trying to compete. We're just trying to exist. Like there's no place for us unless we spend all this money and grab all these. It
yes,
just seems like it's a counterintuitive to community building.
makes it hard to get in the door
Yeah.
to even get started.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Again, I guess I kind of get it, but I kind of don't. Like, I remember I was watching some video about what is it, Twitch, where they do a lot of the game streams, and you
Mhm.
have like women that are topless on that, and like
Mm,
that's a site that's marketed for younger kids. I mean,
yeah,
they're also 13 plus, but the platform was developed for kids to get on and have gaming experience. And yes, you can be an adult, but the idea is like, yeah, these are kids. And then going on and having topless, you know, game streams, like that's ridiculous. I understand
yeah,
that. So yeah, where do you draw that line? Yes, there
yeah.
should be a line. Yes, there is a place for this, and there are things that need to be censored, but where is that line? You know?
And that's the thing. There needs to be a place for this.
Yeah.
Because if there isn't, that's when you get into trouble.
Yeah,
That's when
and
it starts getting snuck around.
when you put the 18 plus logo on your website or whatever, you're automatically attracting a crowd. It's not just like, oh, I'm 18, I can join this site. Like, no, it's like you're 18 and shady. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's not really in just a place for adults to be adults. Like, it
Mhm.
has to be, oh, well, you're an adult. That means you're into all of this dark stuff,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's necessarily true. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. We need a place. We need a place.
Something that isn't, I don't know, where it isn't just porn, where you can be an
Yes.
adult too. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a smart person who knows how to make those things. So that's not my job.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that myself. And that actually kind of brings us to our next conversation. That's the NSFW art and
Mhm.
monetization. So one of the other things that come with 18, almost any 18 plus website that you find comes with a subscription. And
Um,
America's broke.
yes.
We can't
Uh,
afford subscriptions to stuff.
I know it's hard. That's why I try to do like gifts and stuff to everyone. I don't know. I try to think, okay, if I'm gonna subscribe to something, what would I want? And I'm like, okay, I want a present. Like, don't just leave me hanging.
Mhm.
So that's what I try to do. But I mean, some artists will like draw something for you or draw something like for certain tiers. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make money off of your art through commissions. Um,
Yes.
I
Yes, it
don't really
is.
like doing commissions all that much. I like drawing, but I want to draw what I want to draw, not what other people want to draw.
It's
Um,
understandable.
so I
And you genuinely like to draw a lot of NSFW work.
yeah, yeah, it is fun. Um, I think the human form is beautiful. I I'm gonna be honest. I only draw women most of the time because that's what I see in the mirror.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm trying to branch out and draw men more often. It's difficult, but I mean, I do have two guy roommates, but I don't want to draw them in a way that I draw the women I draw on my website. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know that, and you have a completely different context because you are a woman. You know,
Mhm.
like I like to draw too, and I'm very much gravitated towards female characters. When I design characters, they're almost always female. And I have my own reasons for that. It's because growing up in the 80s, I hated the damsel in distress. I
Yeah,
liked Rambo. I liked Terminator. I liked Predator, but I also loved Alien,
yeah,
and Ripley. And I wanted to see more female badasses that just owned it. So when I became of age, I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to draw
mhm,
women who own it because that inspires me. But of course, being a guy, like everyone's like, oh, you're just a horn dog. I'm like, I'm not a horn dog. So I try to be very tasteful with the way I draw.
mhm,
But I noticed, and I think we had actually originally met on was it the Fantasy Art Unchained
mhm.
group? Yeah, I would posting up stuff. I'm like, hey, I'm working, I'm getting better. Here's what I'm doing, and like nobody comments unless you show a little skin, and then everyone goes crazy. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't want to do that. That makes me
yeah,
feel dirty as an artist. You know, like I don't mind drawing the female form, but I'm not doing it to get excitement. I really just want to talk and share about art. Well, you have this space where you're able to do that and you draw the NSFW. And I think that you do it in a way where it's not porn, it's a glorification of the female form. And I don't
yeah.
have a problem with that.
Now I
Where do
do
you think,
sometimes draw porn.
you know, there is that, but where do you draw the line as far as like setting out to create a piece and like this is for this and this is for that?
Well, usually, well, when I first got started, I wanted attention, so I wanted to draw stuff shocking. So,
Mhm.
full nude, doing sexual acts. That's going to get people's eyes on my art. Um, and honestly, most people thought I was a guy when I was drawing. Um, Nats is a very androgynous name, so it could be a Nathan, it could be a Natasha, it could be a Natalie, it could be anything, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of people thought I was a guy, and that helped protect me a little bit because people were pretty nice about it, encouraging. But I wanted to draw stuff that was more delicate, like I'd seen when I was a kid, and I wanted to make younger me happy.
Mhm.
So I started after I got a following, being like, can I push it? Can I? My audience wants me to draw this. That's what I've been drawing. Can I push towards what I want?
Kind of push back even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And,
I
and
I got pushback right away.
yeah.
Less likes, less shares. And some people were like, this is a little conservative. And I was like, it's what I
How
like.
do you feel about that? I mean, it almost feels like as an artist, you're incentivized to draw porn,
Mhm.
you know? And then when you want to branch out and do something different, that's where the push, like, how does that make you feel as not just an artist, but as a woman?
Well, in general, as a like in general, it just makes you feel like you're trapped in a box.
Hmm.
If somebody makes you be a certain some way. Um, and I've always kind of felt trapped in that box. Um, I've been told I've been pretty my whole life, so I've been felt like I'm put in a box of you're pretty and you need to do pretty things. Um, and I kind of want to push back from that. Uh, at the same time, I like pretty things, so it's I want to make beauty for the world. Um, but I want to do it my way, and a lot of people think it needs to be sexual, and not
Hmm.
necessarily. It could just be, the body, which I think is beautiful on its own, and not necessarily sexual in any way. But somebody might see my art and be like, ooh, this is this is very sexy. But I see it as, no, that's just it's just a person being them, hanging out, having fun maybe. And I usually draw people with smiles because that's what I want to see is a smile.
Right. That's interesting. I know. So I've been using Facebook mostly as just a gallery for the stuff I've been doing in school. And of course, since I'm in school, I do a lot of nudes. And I don't know if it's because I am so inconsequential that I can get away with posting all the stuff that I do because no one, I mean, even on a good day, no one likes or comments on my stuff. But I definitely haven't had any of that demonetization or banning. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, those are boobs and those are nipples and there's a vagina and that's just the way the picture was.
Hmm.
Like, and nobody says anything. So I don't know if that's
Yeah.
because I'm so small, no one notices, or maybe in 2 or 3 years I get big and people start deleting my back catalog like they did with you.
That might happen because I flew under the radar for a very long time before anyone saw my art. I, oh my gosh, nobody even noticed my art until 2001,
Mhm.
and I started in 2008. So that is a long time of posting for no one to even notice who you are or where you came from. And I had art from before then that I wasn't posting, that nobody knew who I was.
And you think that the breakthrough was the NSFW content?
I really do think it is. It just, honestly, it did two things. It broke me of having to, um, it allowed me to draw people as they are
Mhm.
instead of having to draw like clothes first. Um, and you can really, okay, I got an example. Pathfinder, their cover art. You can tell that the artist draws clothes first
The
because the
Pathfinder role-playing game?
anatomy, yeah, Pathfinder 1E and 2,
Mhm.
um, their artist draws clothes first. You can tell because they don't have anatomy. You don't see where the body is. And without a body, you can't put clothes on.
Right, yeah. You have to have an underlying understanding of the underlying form before you can articulate the folds and how they wrap. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
There's a little art lesson for all you guys out there.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. I know my niece, she took art at a Christian school and they were not allowed to draw uh you know do figure drawing.
Figure
Everything
drawings.
was
Yeah.
clothed or objects.
Hmm.
And I think that's a travesty.
Hmm. I feel like
Like,
it really gates you on what your abilities can do because you got to be able to draw what you see. And until you understand what you see, you struggle to draw it.
yeah, no, absolutely. And that kind of brings up like a kind of an interesting idea. So nudity in art is not new, like not even close to new. Um, but the idea of NSFW not suitable for work art, um, I don't know if that's a modern thing. I'm sure there's always been a bit of censorship, but where's that line? Where is that line? I mean, I've never quite understood it, like
Mhm.
the human body is beautiful, male and female. Female, and just objective, not objectively, but subjectively. So I'll say female are more beautiful than men because they have more curves, and curves are aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it's
And
my
as an
favorite
artist,
shape.
pushing those curves, it's an artistic expression and embracing of that beauty. But in pushing those curves, there is a sexualized element that comes with it,
Mhm.
even though it's not, I don't think it's inherently sexualized, but it almost always ends up being that way.
Mhm.
How is anybody ever supposed to know the difference?
Yeah, it's a struggle. And I feel like it takes people who have studied the body that can just step back from that. Um, but you have to take time to study anatomy, and not the average person is going to do that. And like a doctor can look at you and they don't see that you're a thing. Like you're just a person and they're looking at you and your body and what's they can do to help it.
Yeah.
and they don't see you as sexual. And but the average Joe hasn't studied enough of the body to desensitize themselves to it, and
I
it
wouldn't
is
even know if
kind
it
of a Western thing.
desensitizes is the right word.
I don't know. It's
I
kind
don't
of like a
know.
cultural thing
Yeah.
because nudity is more welcome in some cultures, and it's like not sexualized.
Yeah.
So it's a little of that too.
It's interesting. I like my wife. I think my wife is personally beautiful, but the compliment I give her the most on is her clavicular fossa. I'm like, Amy, you have the sexiest clavicular. And she's like, are you retarded? I'm like, I might be. But that little pit right here, the way like it's deep and the way the light catches it, you can see the cast shadow, the like the turning form. It's art. I could
Yeah,
just like stare at her little section of neck, and I'm like, oh, you know.
beautiful.
I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm all about. I love it. And there's so many like the turn of the hip. Like I don't care if it's draped or not. It's just we're amazingly beautifully put together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to kind of be sad that people would take it uh to an exploitive level. I really don't know what to say about it, you know? Like
Yeah.
they're obviously seeing the inherent beauty,
Hmm.
but they're wanting more. I don't know. There's got to be a link somewhere in between that. It's like, yes, this is beautiful, but people want to push it to a darker realm, and then they want to incentivize artists, they want to incentivize models, you know, to give more of the debased side of it. I haven't quite worked out that connection, but I know it's there.
Well, I've definitely been pushing back lately, and my biggest change has been I had like a 95% male based audience. And since I've been pushing back and doing more delicate art and stuff, I have switched to like 18% women.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow. So when I draw stuff I like and what I want, I attract more people. Oh my goodness, just draw what you want. But it's hard to do that.
Yeah, especially like I said, the money is where the money is, and it
Hmm.
probably
Hmm.
always will be. It's not a thing that's going away, but just kind of have to value or balance your values and your desires. So let's see. So let's say that there's no money's not an issue.
Hmm.
What would you want to draw? Like what kind of project would you want to get involved in? Like if you
Um,
didn't have to worry about money.
if I didn't have to worry about money and I just had all the time I wanted, I would start working on animation right away. I would devote all of my time into it and start making little music videos to go with all the music that I hear everybody coming out with. Because ever since I was a kid, I could just close my eyes and imagine an entire music video of like a little character dancing around, jumping light post to light post, or, you know, just stuff like that. And I would love to do that. But one, I don't have the patience to sit there and draw 100 million drawings of one
Yeah.
thing. And I know that I'm going to spend hours on that, get 30-second little clip, and it's not going to make a dime. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to care.
I can definitely understand that. And that kind of, yeah, I don't know. Like I've been studying a lot of things. That's going to kind of segue us into our next topic. So challenges to being a community artist and trying to do maybe not make a living, but make something out of it.
Hmm.
AI,
Hmm.
like the big elephant in the room. It's not going
Yeah.
anywhere. But
Yep.
man, so I've been studying a little bit of AI in school, and I just want to say that that's been a bleak coursework. They
Yeah.
keep saying, "Oh, this is the future. Oh, it's not cheating," and they're like, "This is how to cheat with AI." So
Mhm.
yeah, they're not doing a good job selling the morality of it. Um,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things. AI is developing a way to animate. and I guess you would have a couple keyframe animations and they would do the stuff. And even Photoshop will do a little bit of that. They'll get you
Mhm,
from point A to point B, very low res.
mhm,
But as AI gets more prominent and gets more powerful,
mhm.
people like us, I'd say more people like you, because you're on Front Street a lot more than I am. Where do you think we're going to go? Is there going to be room for us?
Um, that I'm back and forth on. I feel like there needs to be some sort of regulation first. Um, and once that regulation is put in place, it might slow down some things in that we can participate. That is the biggest problem with AI, is that they did not include the actual artists, the actual creators in any of it. And personally, if I was asked, if I found out, 3 million drawings were made using my sketch, wow, I'm flattered.
And
One,
where's my money?
yes. And can I have like 3 cents for each one
Yeah,
of those,
exactly.
maybe? Like, come on, something, a little bit, a penny, come on.
Yeah,
Um, but it felt dirty, like, uh, I'm gonna take this from you and there's nothing you can do about it.
yeah.
And I'm like, feels familiar, but okay, I guess. We proceed.
So what about the commission game? Because it used to be like not too long ago at all.
Mhm.
Like you go onto these forums and are like, hey, I want this like this with this. And like now you can literally just copy paste that sentence into a prompt and generate an image. And because AI has been trained on all these different techniques and textures that people have been developing for lifetimes, you can get something passable. And yeah, it's not great, but the majority of art buyers
Mhm.
at the commission scale don't notice or care.
Yeah. Sadly, it's like people who just wanted a quick character sketch, those those customers are gone. I haven't had any of those in a long time. There are some that are still like, I want this artist and this style and I want it done right, and they'll come to you. But for people who are just trying to, you know, they're not trying to do anything special. It's their D&D character. It's going to be for half a year. It's it's not that big of a deal, right? I don't
Yeah.
need a whole character drawing. And that's a lot of money. I could do this free thing. So we lose customers there. But
Well, in the D&D or the tabletop gaming community, like
mm,
you have a lot of people that will still take pride in the fact that I bought this mini, I hand painted it,
yeah,
or this is my character that I play at the shop and I had a commission to, like I commissioned a local artist to give a portrait. So I like
mm,
there's a bit of pride, there's a bit of esprit de corps
yes.
that comes with spending with the hobby. And it's not necessarily to flash off and show, but it's a point of pride.
There's also a little shame when you have the AI one. They're just like, oh, here's mine.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
saw it quick. It looked great, right?
Have you had a chance to use any AI platforms or done any explorations with that?
I haven't actually gotten to play with any. I've I guess I've played through some through friends who have subscribed, and it's it is fun. I will say that. It's fun for something to instantly print out what you kind of were thinking about, right? Um, but oof, when you look at it, you're like, this isn't something I want to look at for hours, where that's what I was doing before. Like I would scroll DeviantArt and I would stop and I would look for like I would straight up look for half an hour at some
Yeah,
pieces,
easy.
just in awe. I was so moved. But now it's like, oh, now I'm looking at it and I'm seeing all the little flaws. I'm like, oh, that is definitely AI. Dang, that's a bummer. Moving on. But
I've used a couple different platforms, but yeah, I've noticed that same thing. Mostly I use it for inspiration.
mhm,
Like I'll type in a prompt, but I will never submit. Well, of course, I have to for class. So I'm like, okay,
mhm,
this is my AI submitted stuff. I haven't posted any of my, I don't think so, AI work on my Facebook gallery profile. This is what I did in school because I'm actually kind of ashamed of it myself. But there is a lot of things that you can do, a lot of inspiration you can get from it. I just think that, yeah, turning it in as the final assignment, it just feels dirty.
yeah. Now, I do appreciate people who will use AI and then take it into Photoshop, heavily doctor it up, chop it up, change it up, redraw on top of it, paint again. Like that, you haven't done AI. What you've done
Mhm.
is like a collage, and that is art. That's the same as cutting out a piece of newspaper, putting it into your art, and then doctoring that up. It'd be the
Yeah.
same, which is great. I love that use for AI. That's a great tool. But sadly, I don't see a lot of people doing that.
No, yeah. I mean, people are always going to do, I don't know. That seems a little bit mean. People are going to tend to do what is easiest and has the most impact. I mean, we're psychologically incentivized to do that, but it seems like it's out of hand. It's a little bit rampant. But in that same vein of passing off AI as your art, like I'm a prompt artist, I guess is the word. I don't know, whatever. You'll even see that with traditional artists though. And people I don't know, I guess the topic is definitely would be more inspiration versus imitation, and like I know that you've had a problem with that in recent months. People copying your art and trying to pass it off as like, oh, this was my idea or this is my pose, and it's a straight rip. Like, yeah, they might have done it different or done something to make it theirs, but they're trying to pass it off as original
Yeah.
when it's obviously not.
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
Well, there are limits. Like, are they still new to art? Do they not understand the rules of the community? That is possible. But if you can't take their word for it on it, you got to look at their history, what
Right.
has happened in the past, which is a lot of work. Um, but it's a little frustrating, to see someone just take your art and draw it and say, "Hey, this is mine. I'm selling it for $20 more than the original artist. Come buy it." That's
Yeah.
frustrating. But
Especially if they're building a fan base off of your ideas.
mhm, it is frustrating. And the best you can do is, if it is an exact copy and they have one for one traced it, you can do a takedown, which is the same as what, the big businesses do to us. We can say, "Hey, take this down. This is mine. I have proof of it. Do it." And they will. They'll have to. But you also have to give out your information. And if you're not a business, you're giving out your address, your phone number, all to
Mhm.
this person who's just stolen this stuff from you because you
And
want them to take it down.
wasn't there a problem with that? Someone got called out for it, and when the person that was the offendee or
Mhm.
the offended went through the proper channels, didn't they get doxxed and have some
They did.
trouble with that?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
They got
sick.
threatened and doxxed. And it was all because they were trying to protect themselves.
Yeah,
It's unacceptable. That's, and it's hard because artists like us, we're small artists. We have to use our name. We're not big incorporated businesses. We can't hide behind that. So sometimes you just kind of, I'm going to let it go because what can they do with my information?
right.
Because I have to put that in to get them to take it down legally, to say that it's mine. Got to identify yourself. So there's a risk to even taking things down.
So where do you draw the line between inspiration and imitation? Because obviously it's all been done. It's all
Mhm.
been done.
Yeah.
Like I can't say it enough. It's all been done. We're
Yeah.
always getting, even in our imagination, is like subtly influenced by things that we've seen, great works of art, trashy works or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Like, but where do you draw that line between inspiration and imitation?
Well, sometimes you don't even know you're imitating. So you get called out. And the best way to do is accept it. Say, hey, I didn't know that this person made this back in this time. I'll say, hey, I'll put it down as a reference. I'll throw it in the comments or whatever, or in the description. Thank you for letting me know. But if it is something that try to say something. Just say, hey, I looked at this person's art and I was inspired by it, and it made me want to do my own.
Give credit where credit's due. Actually, so I want to give you credit where credit's due. My signature block, the little bird logo, I totally took inspiration from your Nats logo, and I'm going to put the picture up here so you can see what the original, the master stroke, and then my poor imitation of it. But yeah, I was heavily inspired. I love your cute little cat logo with the Nats, and I'm like, that's so adorable. I gotta do something like that. But of course, I'm a bird, so that was an easy. You can tell I didn't just copy, but I was heavily. Yeah, heavily isn't a strong enough word. Inspired by your signature block.
Oh, that signature, it was my favorite thing to make because I was like, I before I just put my name and then the date, which advice, don't date your work. Don't do it. It dates your work.
Why not?
You can put it in the file name. You can put it in like files, name where what date it was. But on the actual art piece, I wouldn't put a date because as you progress and your art changes, sometimes those older pieces will look amazing and you might want to post them, but you're like, oh, but this is so old. People are going to be like upset that I post old art. And it really makes people look at it and they're like, oh, this is from when?
I don't know. I binge watch White Collar. Have you ever seen that show?
Mm.
It's a stupid show about art thieves, and they always make a big deal about authenticating when the painting was done, and I'm like, shoot, if I could get a place and where I'm in that making gabillions, like I'm gonna put date all over it, so like, hey, oh, he did this piece in 2000, and I don't know. That's a poor layman's understanding of how that works.
I mean, it can work. Like some people do date their art, and a lot of people do, like a lot of big artists. But I just feel like every time I put a date on it, I look back at it and I'm like, oh, it's so old.
Hmm.
But anything that doesn't have a date on it, I'm just like, oh, well, it's still a little fresh, still nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just feels old when it's got the date on it for me.
Okay. No, that works. I definitely understand that. Yeah, as I learn new techniques, I go back to my old art and I'm like, ooh, if I only knew how to do this then, and then I'll redo it. I've got folders on like line art from this year, line art from this year, and I'm like, keep recycling. Of course, like I said, I kind of cowered it out of the posting for the public. I
Yeah.
don't know, just for now. But maybe one day I'll bring out and I'll amaze everyone with how mediocre I am. I'm a master class in mediocrity.
Well, I know for me, I was drawing like almost every day, which is very not healthy. And I was posting like every other day.
Hmm.
Not healthy. But what you can do is have a backlog of art that
There
you
you
can
go.
post on the regular, and that is what grows your audience, having a consistent posting schedule, and it will grow your audience so quickly.
Yeah,
Drawing every day
I
is
can
not the
attest
way.
to that. I have a YouTuber that I started watching, and they've got about 6 years worth of content that I caught up with over the summer. And now they're taking every time they post something new or a live stream, like, hey man, I'm new. I just went through your entire backlog. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to make another 6 months worth of content in the next week. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's got to be frustrating. But no, that's a good idea. Yeah, I think like I don't know, for me, for my channel, for my mission in life, it's all about community.
Mhm.
community building and, making bridges between people. And it seems kind of hypocritical because I'm very turned off by the art community. Again, with the NSFW stuff, and people trying to take my work and make it something it's not, and
Mhm.
that really hurt me as an
Yeah.
artist. It hurt me as a creator and all those things, and I still haven't quite figured out what to do with that.
Yeah.
But I'll come back one day, I promise.
Finding the right audience is important because, man, they can make you feel not the way you felt like you were not, what did they say? Death of the author. That's the same for art. And
Mhm.
it can hurt. It really can. Um, seeing your art and they say things about it that you're like, oh, that wasn't my intention. That's what I wanted. It's out there now. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they got from it. All right, got you. Got you.
Yeah, it's kind of weird too. It's because like you want to draw for your audience to some level, but you're also drawing for you and
Hmm.
having it morph and become something it was never intended. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. And that's why I kept a lot of my art to myself, especially nude art. I wouldn't even show my parents, wouldn't show my art teachers because I was like, they're going to think that I'm some hormone driven crazy woman who just thinks about this all the time. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, I just wanted to draw something different out of my comfort zone that everyone says I shouldn't. And you just got to go for it. Don't worry about what you shouldn't do.
Yeah. One of the crazy things is like, and I can't speak for the woman female perspective, but trends that I've noticed, I've gotten a perspective on is it seems easier to be a woman and do that kind of stuff, because you become a commodity, and men kind of objectify and fantasize not just the art, but then the artist doing the art, and it
Mhm.
it comes corrupt, it's kind of dirty.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, how do you deal with that? I'm sure you've run into that. You're a very very open, very transparent artist. I can
Mhm.
only imagine what your DMs look like.
Actually, my DMs are actually very kind and nice and definitely never get really dirty actually. They're men are really respectful to me. I'm one of the lucky ones, I will
Yeah,
say. Um, but yeah,
congratulations.
yeah, I have a really kind audience, and I appreciate them for that because it makes me feel really safe. That was something I was really, really afraid of as a woman coming out into the internet and telling people that I'm a woman. Um, and there is a little bit of that fantasy. I draw some risque art and I'm a woman who draws risque art. So people do have that fantasy of it. Um, but all in all, men are very respectful about it. And I haven't been, no one's made me feel unsafe about it, which encourages me to be open and free about myself. And I like that. And I
That's
hope my
amazing.
audience stays that way.
Yeah, yeah, I hope it stays that way too. Yeah, I think, I'm really glad that you came on and talked to me because I think people just don't understand the uh, the challenges that artists face. Like people, especially casual viewers, they're like, oh, somebody's doodling. Like, okay, there's so much more that it goes into it than doodling. Like, there's years of practice, years of mastery, and then once you cross the technical gap of I can make art, then there's the demonetization, there's getting it taken down, having to contend with you the audience, making you do things that you don't want to, not making you, but
Yeah.
pushing you in a corner. Like if you want to do anything with it, like you're gonna have to sell out at some point. You always have to balance that with your conscience of your soul. And then now there's this AI stuff that's just
Mhm.
people just don't understand how tough it is to be an artist, especially one who's trying to either make some money off of it. And again, not to become rich, but just to create a community of like, hey, this is what I do, this is what I enjoy. And then you've got haters, and then you've got, you know, people typing prompts that, well, I can do this. I'm like,
Mm,
but you can't. It's
yeah.
a thankless, underappreciated job.
Hmm. It is.
And I'm really glad you came on and were able to share some of your insights, some of your struggles, and I really just want to get your name out and grow a community. You know, like I said, God, I don't even know how many years it's been since I've known you now, but every time I think about community, I go back to the kindness that you showed me and the encouragement and sharing tips and tricks. And
Mhm.
you were very inspirational to me. And yeah, I hope millions more find you because I think you're a lovely person and I think you have a grace and a gratitude to it.
Thank
And
you.
man, I just wish you nothing but the best. I think you're amazing.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, this is the first highlight segment that I've done, and again, like I said, you were the first name that came to my mind. You know, I wouldn't have settled for anybody taking the number one spot. You know, and I'm sorry it's rough, but you mean that much to me, and I just hope you continue to go and do great things.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna try.
And yeah, we're gonna have all of your stuff in here in the video and links, descriptions, all that. Please go check it out.
Sweet.
Uh, throw an artist a bone, man. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
sweet lady, she deserves it.
See you
Do
guys
you have
soon.
any final thoughts? Anything you want to close with?
Um,
Got December stickers coming out. I saw
oh,
that today.
more importantly, draw. Everyone should draw. Oh my
Mm.
goodness. But yeah, I did a sticker drop just recently, a whole bunch of stickers. Um, I'm also going to be coming out with a patch here soon, because I'm going to try textiles and stuff. So, trying to make a patch.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to it, and we will definitely pick up on that in the future.
Mhm.
So I'm going to close out, but you know what? My dad gave me a thing from Joey the Clown, and I was going to practice it, but I didn't practice it. So I still don't have a closing tagline, except for I keep defaulting back to the advice I give my kids. If you're going to do something dumb, try to be smart about it.
I like that one.
And we will catch you next time.